In this video, I'm going to show you how to attract new patients for your chiropractic clinic using Google Ads. This will be a step-by-step guide and it is beginner friendly. So in this video, precisely what you're going to see is what is a Google ad, why you should use Google Ads, how to set them up step by step, what sort of results you can expect from running Google Ads, and what sort of ad budget should you begin with. So first of all, what is a Google ad? So if we go to Google and we type in Chiro near me. So notice the first three results, it says ad here. So these clinics have paid to, be at the top of Google, right? So what happens is when people are searching on Google, let's say for chiro, typically they'll click on the first few results. So, and those first few results are people or clinics that paid to be on top of Google. So if we keep scrolling down, these are not paid results. These are like natural results. But with a simple ad, you can land on top of Google. Now you might be asking yourself, is it worth going through the trouble of setting up ads? Well, actually, yes, it is. Close to 80 to 95% of the traffic for specific keywords goes to the first three results. So basically, if you're not here, you're not getting much traffic. And low traffic means low new patients. So why Google Ads? Well, first of all, it works. People are searching for your specific services in your city today. So let's take a look. I'm in the Google Ads keyword planner, and I'll show you guys how to use this a little bit later on in this video. But basically, I selected my city, which is Ottawa, Ontario, and then I typed in a few keywords related to chiros. So here we have chiropractor Ottawa. So on average, every month, according to Google, there's 1,600 people searching for this specific keyword. There's 590 people searching for chiropractor near me while they are in the city of Ottawa. And then we have suburbs like Orleans, Barrhaven, Byward Chiropractic, and so on, like Pinch Nerve, things like that. Best chiropractor in Ottawa, 140 people are searching for this. So if you aggregate this over time, like in a month, you have literally thousands of people searching for your specific services. And if you remember, 80% of those people searching, all that traffic, 80% of it will go to those first three results here. So if you don't have an ad running in your city for your services, basically you're missing out on 80% of these searches, so 80% of that traffic. So it's literally can mean hundreds of new patients for you. So the second reason why Google Ads are awesome is that it's fast. So as soon as your ad is up and running, you can actually expect more traffic, more leads, more appointments coming in, literally days after your ads are up and running. And the third reason why Google Ads are awesome is that it's measurable. So you can clearly see that, okay, I put in $1,000 this month in ads, and you can see that, okay, I got $4,000 back, right? Because you can put some tracking in place and know precisely that these leads, these phone calls came from these Google Ads specifically. So by measuring it, you can have 100% confidence that the money you're investing in your marketing is actually generating a return on your investment. So you're not guessing that, oh yeah, maybe these radio ads are working, maybe these newspaper ads are working. No, you know for a fact that it generated, 25, 50 new patients this month. So again, to quickly recap, let's say this clinic, revivelifeclinic.com, they pay Google to have an ad up here. And then let's say I'm a potential client. I'm looking for chiro near me. I click on this. And then it goes to the website, right? And then I can book an appointment. I can see where the clinic is. I have options to contact them and things like that. So let's actually set up a Google ad. So the first thing you'll need to do is create a Google Ads account. So what you're going to type in into Google is how to set up Google Ads, and then the fifth natural link here by Google. It says create a Google Ads account, how to sign up. You just follow the steps. You just click set up your first campaign. It's going to set up, it's going to walk you through the steps essentially on how to set it up. So go through that. So once you go through these steps, you're going to have an account just like mine here. And let's actually go ahead and create an ad for a chiro in my city, in Ottawa. So what I want to do is click campaigns, click the plus sign. We're going to create a new campaign. So we're going to come here, and initially, because we don't have enough data, we cannot actually use effectively the sales and leads campaign yet. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to create a campaign without a goals guidance here. So this bottom right option. So we're going to select a search campaign type. So what that means is that we want our ads to show up when people type in something into Google. In our case, if they type in chiro near me, we want our ad to show up in search. There's also all sorts of different other campaigns like shopping. This is for e-commerce, and video. So you can have, video ads on YouTube and things like that. And in our case, we're going to select web visits here. I'm just going to you need to put your website. So my website is gregranger.com, but in your case, you would put your clinic's website. So that's pretty easy so far. We're going to click continue. We're going to name our campaign. So in our case, I'm going to click chiro test. And here it's important, we want to exclude the Google Display Network and exclude the search partners. So by excluding the Google search partners, we're going to get better results. We're going to stick to really the Google search engine, because Google does provide search for other networks and things like that. So we're just going to stick to the straight Google. And Display Network, we want to uncheck that as well. So next you want to select a location. So you could select your entire country, Canada or the United States, but that is not recommended because you are a local business. So you want to select your own city. So in my case, Ottawa. Next, you want to select your languages. So English, we also have French in Canada and in Ottawa specifically, so we're going to add French. Even though you don't need to create another set of ads for French or Spanish, Google kind of detects the language of your keyboard, so the person searching. So if they're searching, if they have a French browser, but they type it in English, we still want our ads to show up. So it's a good idea to always include the other languages spoken in your city, so French, Spanish, and so on. Audiences, we're not going to talk about that now. Budget, I like to at least spend $1,000 to start off with, so that's roughly $33 a day. Delivery method, we can leave it at standard. In our case, we're not going to do conversions simply because we don't have enough data yet for conversions, so we're going to start off with clicks. Don't worry about this. This is more advanced, but for you, what you want is clicks for now. And then after you select clicks, you're going to click select a bid strategy directly, and then you just make sure that it's at maximize clicks. We're going to start off with that. This campaign like this will get you results. Just don't worry about it. We can take a look at the additional options here when we want our ads to run. The ad rotation, for now, you just want to leave it like that. It's perfectly fine for an initial campaign. Ad extensions, you definitely want to have them up. Like Google mentions here, you can get up to 15% higher click-through rate. Basically, it just means that it improves your results. So what is a site link? Basically, it's a link in the ad that will link to another page. So in my case, I have an About Us page, I have a Contact Us page, and so on. So what it means practically in an ad, it's that if we go back here, these are the site links. So these I can click and it goes to a specific page. cool, as opposed to this one does not have any right now. So basically it boosts your the probability that somebody will click on your site links, on your ad basically, and then that leads to more leads and then more patients for your clinic. So you want to have a couple site links like this. You also want to have call outs. So in this case, let's say consulting. Well, that's more for me, but it could be cosmetic dentistry and things like that. Call outs are just what your services represent. So if we go back here, these are call outs: physiotherapy, massage therapy, acupuncture. So you want to add all the services that you provide in here. So you just type them in. And then what's very important is to have a phone extension as well. So make sure you add your phone number so your phone number does show up in your ad. So in this case, there's no phone number showing up. Then there's additional ad extensions that you can add. You can add, and you should add, a location extension. What it means is this. So right now it links to the address, so this is super useful. So make sure you add that as well. Cool. Oh, we're gonna stay. So we're just gonna click save and continue. So now we gotta set up an ad group, right? So what is an ad group? So the first thing we actually did before is we set up the entire campaign, you know, selected the language, the city, things like that. Now we want to create an ad group. So an ad group is basically you're going to bunch up related keywords into one group. So to give you an example, one ad group could be back pain, right? So you could type in all the related keyword back pain. Actually, if I type in here back pain, it's going to give me ideas. So lower back pain, like headache, or maybe not. Yeah, lower back pain, spinal stenosis, things like that, right? So you would group keywords related to, let's say, back pain into one ad group, right? And then what you can do is you can create multiple ad groups. So you could create a second one that's related to chiro, and this is what we're going to use. So chiro, chiropractor, Ottawa chiropractor, and then if I want to get more ideas, I just type it in here. So yeah, chiro near me, and then chiropractic adjustment, things like that, family chiropractic, and so on. So you would just group them together. It makes it easier for you to judge like what's working, but it also makes your ads more effective. And actually, one more thing with Google Ads in general is that when people are typing into Google, like let's say chiro near me or chiropractic adjustment, there's an intent behind that search, meaning they're actively looking for you for your services, right? As opposed to maybe an ad that they see on TV, on Facebook, or here on the radio. They're not actively, searching for your services when they see that ad, right? Like on Facebook, let's say. So this is why a Google ad is very effective, is that you're trying to capture the people that are already sold on your services. They're just looking for the right fit, right? So this is why Google ads are very effective, is that it's because they are intent-based search and intent-based ads, as opposed to an ad that you get bombarded on TV, let's say, or radio. Does that make sense? Cool. So let's actually go back here. So this is our ad group. So we selected chiro-related keywords. We're going to save and continue. And now we get to create our ad. So the final URL is pretty simple, is your website. The headline could be, ABC Chiro, and then get an adjustment today. And then you can add more descriptions. So you obviously have to come up with that description. You can use, these description as a starting point, and then tweak it, obviously, make it your own and things like that. And click done. And now we actually have an ad. So Google will need to approve it first before it runs. So I'm going to actually pause this for now because I don't want it to run right away. But what happens is if you click ads and extension, this ad is under review, right? So Google wants to make sure that you don't put up bad stuff out there. So they'll review it before it starts running. So I just paused the ad group here so it doesn't run. So that was pretty simple. Now let's take a look at some of the key elements to make sure you get the most results out of your Google ads. So important keys to keep in mind. You want to have a clear, compelling ad. So here's what I mean. If your ad, so this ad is about like chiropractor specifically, like the keywords we selected here are all related to chiropractors. So we want our ad to talk about chiros, right? Makes sense. But so if you create another ad group that talks about back pain, well, you want your ad to mention back pain. Like in here, instead of get an adjustment today, it could say like have lower back pain ? So you want your ads to be related to your keywords. And this is very important because if somebody searches for lower back pain, they want to see an ad that talks about lower back pain. They don't necessarily want to see an ad that talks about chiros or like family chiropractors. So it's a very important distinction here. So you want to make sure that your ads are very related to the keywords you selected. And then, so a clear, compelling landing page. What that means is that if they click on an ad that's related to back pain, the page they go onto next should also talk about back pain and should not talk about like something else like shoulders, right? Or like shoulder injury, right? So what we're doing is we have a specific ad that talks about back pain. They search for back pain, they see the back pain ad, and then when they click, it goes to a back pain related page on your site and not just your general website. Does that make sense? And this sort of trifecta, like the right keyword with the right ad with the right landing page on your website, is what makes ads very effective, and this is how you get more bang for your buck. So if I Google back pain treatment, I see a few ads. So there's Tylenol, but then there is a chiropractic ad here. And then if we click on it, like this one talks about back and neck, which is okay. Now, when we click on the ad, it goes to a general page, right? So instead of doing that, instead of going to the general page, they should create another page that talks specifically about back pain and back pain treatment, and that would greatly improve their results and conversions. Negative keywords list. So this is actually very important because people search for all sorts of stuff and combinations in Google. So you want to make sure that you only capture the people that are specifically looking for your services and not other related stuff. So let me give you a concrete example. So here we have some negative keywords. I simply selected keywords, negative keywords. I have some lists that I created. So let's actually explore the list here. I said no research and stat stuff. So if people are looking for books on chiropractic adjustments, we don't want that to show up, right? Case studies, maybe, journals, magazines, metrics on chiros. So if somebody says, chiropractic near me news, you don't want your ad to show up, right? Because it doesn't really make sense, and statistics and things like that, tutorial. So this obviously will vary for each industry. I also have the no bargains thing. So if people are looking for a cheap chiro, closeout, discount, things like that. So these lists of negative keywords are sort of like the standard lists that I use. So that's one thing. You don't want law-related stuff like legal acts of regulation on chiros. Like you don't want to pay for a click on your ad when those words show up. So essentially, if your keywords come up but is also paired with one of the negative keywords, your ad will not show up, meaning you won't pay for that click. So basically it means you won't pay for stuff that won't lead to a new patient. The other one that is super important is to add all the other brands here. So you want to look at all the other brands in your city, all the other chiros, and then add them here, right? Because the reasoning is if somebody is looking specifically, let's say for Acme chiro, and your search shows up, they're looking for Acme chiro, right? So you're not going to convince them to go with you on a simple Google ad, right? They're looking for a specific brand. So it's better to make sure that your ad does not show up when they're looking for another brand. So I would add all the other brands in your city in here. So again, by combining very precise ads with a very good landing page and adding those negative keywords, over time, Google will reward you with cheaper ads and better results simply because it provides a really good experience to the user. You know, they search for back pain treatment. They see an ad about back pain treatment. They go on the page and it talks about back pain treatment. And Google loves it when the user has a great experience. So the next important key is making sure that your website is optimized for mobile. This is super important. A good chunk, over 50% of the traffic comes from smartphones, right? As you see, everyone's on their phone, even while driving, at the mall, whatever. So when people are searching, if they land on your website and it's not mobile optimized, it provides a bad experience for the user. And actually, Google can detect that as well and will penalize your site if you're not mobile optimized. So make sure your website is optimized for mobile. Next, make sure your website has SSL. So SSL is simply encryption. So you might need to talk to your web admin or your service provider, but you need to have SSL. SSL is simply encryption. And again, Google rewards websites that have SSL. They prefer it not only in ads, but in natural search results as well. And finally, make sure your website loads fast because number one reason is it provides a better experience for the person looking at your services, right? If everything is slow and it takes a long time to load, it's a bad experience. Second, Google actually detects that. It knows when a website is slow, so it will penalize you again in your ads and in your natural search results as well. So it won't show you as much or as often. So basically, you'll be spending a lot more money to get lesser results. So make sure your website loads fast. And how do you measure that, right? So what I want you to do is go to gtmetrics.com, type in your URL here, and click Analyze. It's going to take a little bit of time, so I'll pause this. Okay, so after a few minutes, it's going to give you the report, and it's going to give you a bunch of items of what to optimize. A classic one is just your images. So oftentimes your images are too big, so you could compress them. And there's plenty of like compression tools on the internet. If you have Adobe, Photoshop, you can reduce the size of your images. But basically what it's saying is that some of the images are too big, and that's actually very common. And then there's a whole bunch of other items that can be tackled, leverage browser caching and things like that. So that you have to be a little bit more technical, like you have to install plugins. But this is how you would improve the speed of your website, is go through these items with your web dev or a marketing expert and then tackle them one by one. But One of the big ones that you can easily do is simply reduce the size of your images. And what you could do is go to Google, image compression. So you just go to a tool like this. So you just upload an image here. It's going to give you a compressed version. So you can go from an image that's like 2 megs down to like 600K or 300K, right? So you can compress all your images. So it's going to greatly help improve your loading time. So a common question is, how much should you spend initially? And I'm going to say $1,000, which is $33 a day. So $1,000 a month. Simply because that covers most of the cases for chiros. If your budget is too low, let's say, $3 a day or $5 a day, and the average cost for someone to click on your ad is also $4 or $5 a day, Google will simply not show your ad and take your money. So you need to make sure that your budget is at least 4 to 5 times the cost of the average click. So $33 a day gives you a lot of room. So let me give you a concrete example. These are physio keywords, some ads I'm running. So this is for the past 30 days. And so the average cost for someone to click on the Physio Montreal related keyword is $6.59, right? Here we have a cost of $9.25 for Physiotherapy Montreal and so on. So let's say my budget was $5 a day. I would not get any of these clicks, right? So this is why your budget needs to be high enough so you can actually get traction, get clicks, and not just simply waste your budget. So in our case, $33 a day, let's say, more than covers, this average cost per click, like it covers it 5 to 6 times, right? This covers it 3 times, and so on. Now, for some clinics, it might seem like a lot of money, right? $1,000. And for some, it might not be a lot of money. So I think running Google ads, let's say at $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, I think it becomes a no-brainer once you fully understand the long-term value of a client. And then once you understand the client acquisition cost. So long-term value of a client is how much revenue do they bring you overall, right? So let's say a client comes 6 times a year at, $100 a pop. So that client is worth $600 a year. But let's say on average, you've been in business for 20 years or 10 years and they stick around for 4 years. So that means that this client is worth $2,400, right? So obviously you need to do the math for your clinic. So what I would invite you to do is look at every client in your database and calculate on average how much they're worth, right? So if you have 100 clients, they come, on average 6 times a year at $100 a pop. How much is one client worth, right? So look at all the numbers. A good starting point would be to look at the past year, the past 12 months, and calculate it for a year. So you see, okay, John came 5 times, spent $80 each time. Okay, Julie came 12 times, spent $70 each time, and so on, right? So, and then average it out so you get the long-term value of a single client. And then once you have that number, all your marketing decisions are super clear-cut. So if like in our case, that, okay, one client comes 6 times a year at $100, and on average, they stay 4 years. So that they're worth $2,400. So you can spend up to $2,400 to acquire that client. Now, obviously, we want that number to be a lot lower than $2,000. But you see my point. If you don't have this number, you don't know how much you can spend to get that one client. So if you're spending $1,000 a month and it generates you 25 new clients, and you know that each client overall is worth $2,400, then you're laughing, right? It's a no-brainer. You should triple or quadruple your ad budget, right? So again, to give you a concrete example, we recently raised the budget you're seeing here, but initially they had $1,000 in ad budget. And that generated roughly 25 new patients. Not clicks, not leads, just 25 new walk-ins. And they booked an appointment, they booked an adjustment, and so on. So $1,000 generated 25 new patients, right? So once I showed my client, like, okay, well, what's the LTV of a new client? He was like, immediately we did the math, and he was like, oh my God, let's double the ad budget. I've been missing out on all these potential clients for a month or two already. So this is the power of really knowing your numbers, knowing the long-term value of a single client, because you can know how much you can spend to acquire a new client. So in our case, what is the client acquisition cost, the CAC? Well, so in this case, he spent $1,000 to acquire 25 new clients, which means it's $40 to acquire a new client. Now, let's assume that I know his real numbers, I don't want to reveal it, but let's say it's the LTV is 400. He's getting a 10x return on investment. It cost him $40 to get that client into the door, but overall the LTV is $400. So once you know those two numbers, you can safely increase your ad budget and start generating new patients, right? You're not flying blind. You can actually make concrete decisions on how much work you want to have this month or next month, right? And if you want to expand your clinic or not. And this is what I meant when it's measurable, is you can actually know how much that $1,000 got you in terms of new patients precisely. So let's do a quick recap. Why do we want to do Google Ads? Because it simply works. People are actually searching for your services in your city today. If you recall, when I showed the keyword planner, we had thousands of people searching in a month for chiropractic related keywords. Second reason is, again, it's very fast. So as soon as your ad are up and running, you can start getting traffic to your website that leads to leads, that leads to new patients coming in. Third, it's very measurable. So you know for a fact that if you put in $1,000, $4,000 comes back in new patients. And then for the Google Ads, you simply want to create a campaign in your city, and then you want to add related keywords in one group, in one ad group. Then you want to create a compelling ad that is related to the keywords. And then you want to make sure you have some negative keywords here so your ad does not show up for random stuff. And then you also want to make sure you have your extensions. So you want to make sure you have your site links, like About Us, Contact Us. You want to make sure you have a location, a phone number. So if we go here, this is the location in an ad. You want to make sure you have those site links, these clickable links, and a phone number for your ad. And finally, you also want to make sure that your website is optimized for mobile, that is secure with SSL, and that it loads fast. Now, if you need more help setting all of this up, you can reach out to me directly on Facebook. So simply add me and message me. So facebook.com/gregory.ranger. You can also email me directly at greg@rangermedialab.com. You could also leave a comment below this video saying you need some help, or you can book a phone call with me directly by going to gregranger.com/chiro. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment below, like this video, share it, post it, and have a great day. Thank you.